Friendship class is going to be a series of small steps rather than a lot at one time. And today I'm going to show you how to cut our mat board for our box album. The mat board I gave you is 2 millimeters thick, and it has a smooth side and a rough side. I like my smooth side to be on outside. You can cut your mat board with any trimmer. I'm using a Cricut trimmer because some of my measurements are in millimeters to get an exact size. We can talk about that in class if you don't have a millimeter cutting board. I've made out a layout on how to best utilize your mat board, and you don't have to follow this layout, but you'll get all the pieces you need and even have some more left over. I'm using these two pieces out of scraps I had, so I have a whole piece left over. But let's go over, and I'm going to show you how I cut out these measurements. So my first piece is 158 millimeters, but I want to get these off the bottom because I don't want this cut to go through them right here. So I'm going to cut off 1 3/4, two 1 3/4 strips from the bottom. I put my long side at the top. I go to 1 3/4, hold my plastic down, and just go up and down probably once. I flip it over, go back to 1 3/4, and it comes off. Now I do another one. I have two pieces of 1 3/4. I'm not worried yet about the two 18 millimeters. And this does bow a little, so you want to make sure it's on the straight line. So this cutter has a blade that goes down about 1 millimeter, and since our mat board is 2 millimeters, we have to cut on the back also. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and measure 2/18. So each one centimeter is 10. So I go way up here to the 20, to the 21, and then over to the 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 2 lines before the 22nd centimeter. And I'll get the exact size I need. So 21, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 little lines before the 22nd centimeter. And now this piece is cut and ready to go. I'll do the same thing for my second lid size, 21.5, 6, 7, 8. Now I know it's boring watching somebody cut, but I think if you see this mat board cut, you won't be afraid of cutting it. Sometimes you get a little pieces left over like that. Don't worry about it. We can always shave them with a sandpaper if we need to. Oh, that looks too big. Yep, I'm going to see if I can save that. I have to go 21, 5, 6, 7, 8. I cut a little bit early there. If it didn't go through, it'll still work. So 2 little lines before the 28. So now I have 2 of these pieces. My next one is a base, and it's 8 1/4 wide. And I'm not going to do that first because this is 212 is greater than 8 1/4. So I'm going to do 158 along the top. So that would be 15 and 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 little lines before the 16th centimeter. Is 158. Flip it over. 15, 5, 2 lines before the 16th centimeter. Okay, now I need, so that's my 158 measurement. Now I need 8 1/4 inches. So right there will be my size, and I'm just cutting off. I think I made a mistake. Oh, here we go. 8 1/4. I didn't. Phew. Eight and a quarter. It says check twice, measure once. No, measure twice, cut once. I could learn from that adage. So sometimes you just have to bend it and it comes off. There we go. So we have that piece now. Our last piece is supposed to be 2 1/2. And I think I goofed that. So we're going to have to go to, remember that third piece only had 2 pieces? We're going to have to go to that piece for that piece, if that makes sense. So I'm going to lay that aside for a moment. So this one is done except that. And I made a mistake, and that's why we have extra. I hate making mistakes live, but that's what happened. So I still need to do that one. Now we're going to go to the lid. And the lid can be cut off at the top at 8 1/2. It's a 9-inch wide, but it's only 6 1/2 deep. So I put my long side up, go to 6 1/2. Flip it over, go to 6 1/2. Now I go, that's the right width. Now I go to 8 1/2. 8 1/2. So the main thing about cutting is, as you can see, I do this all the time and I still made a mistake, is be aware of the measurements and maybe measure twice before you cut. My next one, I'm just going to make a long slice at 2 1/2. Flip it over, 2 1/2. Okay, 2 1/2, and it is 212. So go to the 21 centimeters and over 2 little lines. 1, 2. That'll be 212 millimeters. So 21 and up 2 little lines. And that's my base side. Looks good. My last one is 65 millimeters by 6 1/2 inches. I think I'll do the 6 1/2 inches first. Flip it over. Remember, it only cuts 1 millimeter and we need to cut 2. 6 1/2. And the width of it is 65. So that would be to the 6 and halfway to the 7. I'm not used to using metric. I prefer inches, but I'm using Claire Cheville's pattern and with my adaptations, and therefore I follow her millimeters exactly. So that page is all done. I'm not going to cut this one and my missing one right now. I think you have the idea for cutting. I'm going to show you what to do with the lid. The lid is going to have a hole in it. And we are going to line up the edge, all four edges on the 1-inch side. And I am going 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to cut up to the 1-inch mark. And it's okay if you go a little bit over because we're going to be using some magic tape. I'm going to do all sides at 1 inch to make a hole. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to make a hole in my lid because we are going to make an acrylic pocket, which is really kind of cool, that we can put our book decorations in or mementos in. And this is the easiest way to make a pocket. You may use a craft knife. Oh, not that one. Let's see. Yep, there's one. You can use a craft knife. You can make a different size hole. I find, since I'm using an acrylic pocket, now I'm flipping it over by the way, by using an acrylic pocket, I can just use the edge of my trimmer and go up 1 inch. Now when you do this, the corners might get caught a little, so you might have to do a little snip at the end to cut through, but this is a pretty easy way to get a nice even border on your board. And I'm having everyone do the same size hole no matter what your decorations are, and we can adapt that for your personal. Okay, once you have that cut, I'm just going to pop it out. I'm holding near the corner, and I see one corner is caught there, so I'll just take the scissors, or I'll bend it. I think I will take the scissors and cut that off. Remember, we can smooth this off with sandpaper after. Now, you can see it's not perfect. I have a little piece. I thought I had a little piece of mat board sticking out there, and I think I'll just use a sandpaper to make it. But that is going to be the front of our album, and that's the hardest piece to cut. Oh, here's the piece I was looking for. See, I wasn't perfectly measuring 1 inch, but this is going to be our cover. If you want to make a pattern like the one I'll send you a picture of layouts, you could actually cut them out, and then you know if you have all the pieces cut. And we know that I don't have all the pieces cut. I have those two left, and my side piece, 212 by 2.5. Other than those pieces, we are all set to go. And the next time we meet, or the next little step, will be how to use your My Creative Spirit construction tape. And this is a thin tape. It can be cut, it can be torn. It's very easy to work with, and you can tear it, but I like to cut it to keep it smooth. And we're going to cover our edges to make our box very firm, and it's also going to be making our hinges. So I'll teach you how to do that next step. Meanwhile, get busy, cut your mat board. Have a great day. God bless.